You know, if you look at the numbers, Nik Bonitto's contract looks even better for the Denver Broncos, and that's why George Paton is getting away with highway robbery once again. Welcome in Broncos Country to the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. Flipping up the mojo today. I got to rock the jersey middle of the week because I'm feeling like I got to switch things up in order to get the good juju flowing for our friends over at Mile High. So let's talk about Nik Bonitto for a second, right? He's not just beating other edges through 2 weeks. Nik Bonitto is beating entire teams in one specific stat. And I'm sure you're wondering, well, it's got to be a pass rushing stat. Well, yeah, duh, it is. But you'll find this to be unbelievable when I tell you what this stat is. But before I do that, listen, if you want a shout out, I need you to go follow me over on X. If you want Denver Broncos content, even off of YouTube, over on your social media platforms, do me a favor, follow me at Moose_NFL. For every follow that I get in the next 24 hours, I'm giving a shout out on our live show tomorrow. That is my promise to you. So Nik Bonitto, this dude is unbelievable. And if you look at the stat line on the surface against the Indianapolis Colts, you might think to yourself it was a quiet week because he didn't record a sack. And you know what? You might be right with that, and that's totally okay. However, the stat that I'm talking about is that Nik Bonitto has 15 total pressures through 2 weeks, which is more than 3 NFL teams. No, not edge rushers, 3 NFL teams. Who are those teams that have less pressures than Nik Bonitto? Well, the Chicago Bears, who are a dumpster fire right now. The Indianapolis Colts, who have left a really bad taste in my mouth. And the Carolina Panthers, who on paper might have one of the worst rosters in the entire league. So while it's not great company to be a part of, the fact that one player has more pressures than these 3 teams is absolutely outstanding. But it's not just pressures. Let's go to pass rush win rates. We've talked about this on the channel before. Essentially what this is an advanced metric that basically tells the story of one-on-one pass rusher versus offensive lineman, who wins the battle. Well, Nik Bonitto is also number 1 in this as well. I know it's tough to see, but Nik Bonitto right up there next to that number 1. And I'm sure you're wondering to yourself as well, well, Moose, we've never questioned Nik Bonitto's talent when it comes to getting the quarterback. How is he against the run? And look, I'm not going to lie to you. His run grades have not been great, and it's still something that he is developing in his game. He had made that very clear after he signed his contract. That is something he needs to focus on. But he also has a missed tackle percentage of 0, which I don't know if you know anything about, not wanting to miss tackles, but that's an insane number. That is unbelievable, which means every time he's basically ready to wrap someone up, he doesn't miss. So if it's going to be a tackle, Nik Bonitto gets the job done, which also coincidentally works in favor in the run game. And this is the ultimate reason why it's highway robbery. Nik Bonitto is number 1 in pass rush win rate, has more pressures than 3 NFL teams, and is getting paid the 10th highest amongst edge rushers in the league. Now, if you were going by hurries, Micah Parsons is the edge that has flushed quarterbacks outside of the pocket and made them go off platform more than any other edge rusher. So maybe you could kind of think that he's living up to that $47 million a year. But the fact that Nik Bonitto is the 10th highest paid edge and is doing all of the great things so far through 2 weeks is unbelievable. So I'll ask you the question. Have you been impressed with Nik Bonitto so far in 2025? I'm not talking about, since he's been a Denver Bronco. I'm talking about this season. The answer is clearly yes. That doesn't mean that he's perfect. He's got to fix the run-stopping defense. But as of right now, he is absolutely killing it. Now, coming up here in a little bit, I'm going to tell you what I'm sure you're already thinking. But Moose, a lot of good all that pressure did against the Indianapolis Colts. We only generated 1 sack, and I believe there's a reason for that. And I'm going to tell you how the Broncos can fix this problem, and it has to do with Vance Joseph's game planning. And before I get to that, I have to tell you about my friends over at Prize Picks, the presenting sponsor of today's episode. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. It is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. How does it work? Just like this. Here is my lineup. I comboed some pro baseball with some pro football. Matt Olson on the more with the hitting score, then James Cook, obviously, with the more on the rushing yards, and then Patrick Mahomes, who we don't love to talk about on this channel, but it's that max discount play, which is more than half a passing yard. Duh, he's going to hit it. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. So the Colts have an outstanding offensive line. Let's start with this. Going back to a lot of good that pressure did, only generated 1 sack. Well, the Colts have a far better offensive line than I originally thought, and I thought it was pretty good on paper. But this specifically is going to blow your mind. This is Daniel Jones's pass chart. A lot of green on this, which obviously means good. Red means bad. White is an incompletion. This is one of the best passing charts from week 2, and it's not even close. And I'm sure you're also wondering, well, why was he so good? How was he so good? Why was he able to carve up this Denver Broncos defense that was so amazing and touted as not only one of the best pass rushes, but this no-fly zone 2.0? Well, the Broncos are a blitz-heavy team. They love to scheme blitzes. Vance Joseph sends the house at specific teams. And Daniel Jones was excellent against the blitz. 16 of 25 for 265 yards and a touchdown against Denver. I mean, what more needs to be said? He just carved up the blitz. And when the blitz isn't working for Denver, combo that with the Pat Surtain injury to his ankle, where he clearly wasn't 100%. It's room for disaster. And there's obviously now room for improvement. So what is the solution to this? I figured it out. You got to rush 4 against the LA Chargers. These 4 specifically. Zach Allen, Nik Bonitto, Jonathon Cooper, and John Franklin Myers needs to kick it in gear because he's been awful through 2 weeks. Rush 4, drop the rest in coverage. This is the Philadelphia Eagles method and how they were able to absolutely slaughter the Kansas City Chiefs in the last Super Bowl. So when you drop 4 in cover, or rush 4 and drop the rest in coverage, you're relying on your best pass rushers to flush the quarterback outside of the pocket, which allows the defensive backs and linebackers to sit more in zone coverage, keep the game in front of them, and stop the pass. Now, there's also a reason why the Denver Broncos won't always be super successful against teams with amazing offensive lines, at least if you're going with last week's game plan. Take a look at the pressure efficiency chart that I have for you. What you really want is to be top left like the Seattle Seahawks, which means you're blitzing less and getting tons of pressure, meaning your front 4 are outstanding. The next best thing is where the Broncos are at, which is top right, meaning you get a lot of pressures, but you also blitz a lot. And like I said, the problem is when you get a defensive or an offensive line, that can pick up a blitz really, really well, you're going to get creamed in passing, because if you have a quarterback that can just light you up over the middle of the field against the blitz, you're going to have a tough time doing anything. So here's the solution. Don't let LA plan for your blitz. Rush 4, drop the rest back in coverage, specifically because Justin Herbert has been tearing it up. You've got to force the LA Chargers to run the ball more. We talked yesterday about how Amari Hampton has not looked good through 2 weeks. Najee Harris, not looked good through 2 weeks. If you force LA to run the football and then stack the box on the plays where you know they're going to run the football, you have a really good shot to stop this offense. You really, really do. And also, ultimately, I think we can all agree on this, by the way, that Pat Surtain getting picked apart by Daniel Jones and Michael Pittman having a field day against him was the result of this injured ankle. He went down early in the game, came back to play, but clearly wasn't 100%. So with an extra, week now of rehabilitation, rest, and just hopefully, a less injured ankle or a better feeling ankle, Pat Surtain will look just like he has last year after he won the Defensive Player of the Year award. Or even more recently, week 1 against the Tennessee Titans, where he was locked down once again. So before I end today's episode, pick a unit that needs to be better heading into week 3. The secondary, the pass rush, or the linebackers. This is clearly where you need Dre Greenlaw to play because Alex Singleton did not have a good game. The Broncos linebacker room as a whole did not have a good game. You need more over the middle of the field coverage, and Dre Greenlaw, who is both good against the pass and against the run, can provide that. So you need the guy you're paying $10 million a year to step foot on the field for the first time in 2025. Quick reminder, if you want a shout out, all you got to do is go follow me over on X. I will take a look at that. And then tomorrow, no matter how many we get, I'm giving shout outs to everybody that gave me a follow over there on Twitter. That's going to do it for us on today's episode, Broncos Country. Reminder to like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, mile high salute. Be cool.